Welcome to Meditations and Prayer number 20 and KCE Kabbalah Chassidus Explained number 45. So we are holding the bracha Ahavas Elam Aftanu. But before that, I want to share with you something very special. And this is, I found on Chabad.org, a fellow reaches out to Rabbi Aaron Moss. He wants to quit Judaism. How does he quit his Judaism? He says like this. Although I was going to do a little reading, a page, but it's quite interesting. Although I was raised in a traditional home, I had a circumcision, I was bar mitzvahed, I have never had any faith or religious belief. I am now 34 years old and would describe myself as an atheist. I have no wish to be buried in a Jewish cemetery, and my will also make this clear, and have married a non-Jew in a civil ceremony. My question is, can I consider myself officially non-Jewish by my effective opting out, or do I need some sort of form of dispensation to be officially no longer Jewish? Many thanks for your help with what is perhaps an unusual question. Best wishes, Edward. Answer, dear Edward, I would like to help you, but I feel there's nothing I can do. According to your question, you have done everything possible to negate your Jewishness. In practice, you do not keep Jewish tradition. In belief, you're an atheist. The family life you have married, in family life, you have married a non-Jew, and thus will not have Jewish children. And even in death, you are determined not to be buried in a Jewish cemetery. One would think that all this would be enough to confirm your un-Jewishness. But no, for some reason you are still unsatisfied. You still feel Jewish. So much so, you feel you need an official dispensation. And so, being an atheist, who do you turn to solve this problem? A doctor? A psychiatrist? The civil official that married you? No, you turn to a rabbi. I'm reminded of the child who ran away from home, but ended up just going around and around the block because his parents told him never to cross the road by himself. I'm sorry, Edward, there's nothing more you can do. You are as Jewish as Moses, Ariel Sharon, and the chief rabbi of Wales. This is in Australia. In fact, it seems that being Jewish is the most dominant factor of your personality. It's even influencing the place you want to be buried. Why would an atheist care about where they are buried? Edward, Jewishness is not a feeling, a conviction, or a lifestyle. It's a state of being. We can either celebrate it or fight against it, but it will always be there. So why not celebrate it? Aaron Moss. If you like the classes, please press like, subscribe, and share with friends. So we're holding now by the blessing right before the Shema in the morning, during the week, and on Shabbos and the holidays. On Shabbos and the holidays, it's page 206 in the Chabad Blue Siddur, and for the weekdays, it's page 41. Ahavas Olam Aftanu, Hashem Elokeinu. Lord our God, you have loved us with everlasting love. So here, I would like to expound on this everlasting love a little bit from Sefer HaMamorim Tafshin Aleph, which, by the way, there's quite a few Mamorim in Sefer HaMamorim Tafshin Aleph which speaks about these blessings before Shema. So here we have page 37. He translates Avas Elam like he translates here, the previous Lubavitch Rebbe, the Rebbe Rayatz. An everlasting love. You, God Almighty, have loved us with an everlasting love. Why? Why is it everlasting? Writes the Frierdiker Rebbe, Liyesa Ahava Atzmis, because it's an essential love. Now page 41, towards the bottom. Again, Avas Elam, which is a everlasting love because it's an essential love. And an essential love means the love from essence to essence, like a father to a son, a mother to a child. The neshama, the soul, is a chelek halakam yimal mamish, is literally a part of God Almighty. The Jewish soul is literally a part of God Almighty. Now, I'm sorry for interrupting, but whenever we speak about the uniqueness of the Jew, I refer to anyone that's not Jewish that's listening to a special class I've dedicated to the greatness that a non-Jew could attain, the spiritual greatness. And that class is called You Don't Have to Be Jewish to be righteous and holy. Back to here. So God Almighty loves a Jew with this everlasting love, because it's an essential love, because the soul of a Jew is literally a part of God Almighty. The same way a child comes from the essence of his parents, the same way the neshama of a Jew, the soul of a Jew, comes literally from the essence of God Almighty. Sharsha, a few lines later, Sharsha, its root of the soul, hu ma'atzmus mamish, is from the essence of God Almighty. V'zu yavatzmis, and this is an essential love. Avas etzem le'etzem, the love from one essence to another essence. That's a very special love. Therefore, it's everlasting. Similar to that story, to that letter, the correspondence with Edward and Rabbi Aaron Moss. You see, there could be two friends that are very close friends, 10, 20, 30 years or more. But it's possible they could break up. Get into an argument, break up, no more friends. They're not going to see each other the rest of their life. Sad, but it's possible. And they really have no more connection. But a father and a child, a mother and a child, even if the child runs away from home, child is still a child. So Avas Elam, this is an everlasting love because it's an essential love, because it comes from the essence. A love from friend to a friend is because of a reason. It's because of, I love my friend, he's so brilliant, he's so much fun, so, great advice, nice person, whatever it is. Things could change. If the person changes, the friendship changes. But a child always stays a child. Few words further in the blessing in the Siddur, Chemla Gedela v'Yiseira Chamalta Aleinu. You have bestowed upon us exceedingly abounding mercy, which really Yiseira means more than. More mercy, more love and compassion and mercy than who? Doesn't say clearly. Says the Alter Rebbe in Tanya in chapter 49, Chemla Gedela v'Yiseira Pirush Yiseira al Kreves Elakim Shebachol Tzva. We just have before, in the previous blessing, before the Shema, the whole drama, the whole description of how the angels bless God Almighty, they praise God Almighty. Kaddish, 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 holy, 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 etc. And blessed be the glory of the Lord from His place, and all that. And we have a few classes on this, the past few classes in this, explaining this thoroughly from the Torah. How the holy angels praise and bless God Almighty, right? Pure holiness. Nevertheless, God Almighty says that is not the purpose of why I created the whole world. The purpose why I created the whole world is for the Torah and the mitzvahs, for the Jewish people to fulfill the Torah mitzvahs. The non-Jews have their purpose, so there's seven laws of Noah. The Jewish people have their purpose of the 613 mitzvahs, to make a home, to make this world into a home for God Almighty, to make it into a holy place to the Torah and the mitzvahs. And that's more important than all the angels. I want to connect with you. I want to have a relationship with you, says God Almighty to the Jew. And this is how a Jew expresses this great love that God Almighty has for us, even more than the heavenly angels. Why is that? As we explained, because first of all, and that's most important, a Jew, a soul of a Jew is literally part of God. And number two, our mission. And really that's enough. Remember this Jew here? He doesn't, it's not enough. Of course you have to express your Judaism and strengthen your connection with God through Torah and the mitzvahs, through the commandments, through living as a Jew. This is a very unfortunate story. But even this person who did not want to have anything with Jewish life is also Jewish essentially because a child always stays a child, as explained before. And also a Jew has this special mission for that purpose that God Almighty created the entire world, and the entire cosmos, and all the worlds, all the higher spiritual worlds, and the angels, is for what? To have a home in this material world through Torah mitzvahs. That's why what happens here is most important. That's why God Almighty loves us. The main reason is because, as that previous Rebbe said, it writes in the Maimer, because our connection is essential, father and a child. But also, as he explains in this chapter in Tanya 49, that he wants to connect with us, that to be our God specifically, the same way he connected with Abraham. And we call God the God of Abraham. The same way he wants to connect and unite with us, with every Jew. So this is what we read before the Shema. Before the Shema is the time when we awaken our love to God Almighty, and this will help us awaken our love, and we'll see how much God Almighty loves us. This brings from us back a love to God Almighty. Thank you for listening.